there, it's Carrie from Stamp with CT. Welcome friends to our Wednesday Facebook Live. It is already March the 8th. Oh my goodness. And I am super excited to be here with you today. And whether you are watching the replay, hello replay crew, or if you're able to catch the video live, I so appreciate you being here. Gonna wait just a minute. I see some people are able to hop on, so I hope you'll say hello. So it is Wednesday, which means Facebook Live Day, and we're gonna create a couple of very cute, I think, very cute cards using the basic borders dies. So that's gonna be fun. That's a die set that I've had in my stash for a while, and I do pull it out from time to time. I need to use it more. So I missed y'all last week. I'm sorry that I had to cancel. Haven't had to do that very much over the last 3-4 years, but had some terrible neck pain. But it is better, and I've been crafting again and posting more on my page. So sometimes you just need a little break, right? So welcome. Let's go ahead and get started. Please say hello if you're here joining us live, or if you're catching the replay, I hope you'll say hi. Let me know what your weather is like. It's a little bit cool here this morning. We have had some kind of up and down, lots of rain, just kind of, you know, that crazy end of February, 1st of March weather that we get here in Texas. And I know it's been crazy around the country. Some of my friends are still getting snow. So just kind of the whole gambit, right? Well, we are going to use some fun products today, and I wanted to show you a card that kind of inspired me and made me decide to go ahead and do this. This is a little project that we created using the Regency Park Sweeet collection for bingo. So this was our final project in bingo, and it is kind of a fun fold because I used the basic border die to cut off the front of the card with the designer series paper lined up there. So it just gives you a little peek into the card. We were able to use this label die, just something different, and I thought that turned out really cute. So having gotten those border dies out, and the way my mind works, it seems like I'm always thinking about card ideas and color combos, and I don't know, just a product will jump into my mind and I'm just determined I'm gonna use it. And it just inspires me. So having these basic borders dies out made me want to create with them some more. So this is the project that really did inspire me. We had a lot of fun making that. So let's take a look at a couple things we're using today. Again, the basic borders dies, which are fabulous. And we're gonna be using a couple of them today. And I'm going to pull this one off so you can see you've got some zigzags, kind of a cloud, just kind of, yeah, like a cloud border. And they're great to just cut a bit of the card front off like I did in that project that I shared. But think about all the different ways that you can use these dies and what you can do with them. I'm going to pull this one off because we're going to actually do a little bit of die cutting in just a few minutes. But you can see you've got lots of options with these as far as the different borders that you can cut. And it stitches along the edge, so that just adds even a little bit more interest. Now let's say you don't have the basic borders dies. Stop and take a look at the dies that you do have in your collection, because a lot of them have a border die included. So this is the scalloped contour dies, and you know, you've seen me use these so many times because these frames are amazing. And even if you don't have the stamp set that these floral images coordinate with, this is a fabulous set to have. And it does have this little scalloped border die. So take a look, because you could have those little bonus dies and not even realize it. Look through your sets. And then we are using the Delicate Desert Designer Series paper. Now, y'all know that I do a Designer Series paper share with each new catalog, and we actually have 4 people share every package of Designer Series paper, the new papers. And a lot of times I go ahead and take part in that as well if there's a spot open. So I have just a little bit of this Delicate Desert Designer Series paper, a 6x12 of each that came in the Designer Series paper share, but I don't have any of the other products from that Sweeet, but the paper is just beautiful. So I wanted to pull that out, and again, my mind just kind of went to these beautiful patterns and colors. It's just kind of soft and kind of delicate. And then, of course, you've also got some patterns that are just a little bit more powerful, or, you know, bolder. So I'll go back through those one more time. I just thought this was really pretty and super versatile. You could use this really even for a sympathy card. A lot of times I struggle with what products to use and layouts and stuff. You know, you don't want it to be too bright and cheery, but you also want people to know that you love them and care about them. And sympathy cards are just difficult for a lot of us, but I think this would be a really pretty paper for that. But it's versatile. It could also be great for a birthday card, which is one of the things we're going to be doing today. And then I went ahead and pulled in a couple of stamp sets. This Nature's Prints has the most lovely stamps that have beautiful detail in them. This is a red rubber stamp set. I love the way red rubber lets you have that beautiful detail, and it's nice and crisp when you stamp it. What's great about this set is you just ink it up and stamp it down, and it looks fabulous. And so you look like a Stampin' rock star that you are, and it's super easy. So we're going to use that. I think a sentiment and an image from that. And then also brought in the Happiness Abounds stamp set. Again, gorgeous, gorgeous images. And I love the way the sentiments have the little tails on the front and back. That just makes me happy. It's really sweet. So this is one of the projects I went ahead and made a sample to get us started, and just took the border die. Well, let me step back a minute. So this is 8.5 by 5.5. This is, I'm trying to think, gray granite cardstock, because that's just pulling from the colors in the Designer Series paper. And then I put a 5.25 by 4 inch piece of basic white on the front. And then I cut a 5 by 3 3/4 piece of Designer Series paper. Then lined up that border die, ran it through my die cut machine, left room to be able to put the happy birthday, and I'll bring it up so you can see what I'm talking about with that beautiful font with the little tails at the front and back. Just think that's so very pretty. I wish I could write like that. And then I stamped the image on a piece of Designer Series paper. If you know me, you know I'm not the best at coloring. So I thought, how can I get by with coloring this pretty rose image and not coloring it? So I just stamped it on one of those kind of watercolor wash pieces of Delicate Desert Designer Series paper. And then I added a little bit of Wink of Stella. I don't know if that will really show up on camera. And then a couple of the iridescent pastel gems that are sparkly and beautiful. So this is a super simple card, but it's still a very special card. And it's just a way to use Designer Series paper and even some scraps up. You don't have to cut the full piece 5 by 3 3/4. You could work with what you have as far as scraps. So let's go ahead and create a card together. I've got some things already cut and some things that we're going to need. So I do have this piece of soft succulent cardstock, and again it's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. So let's fold that on the score line and burnish that. I do love using my bone folder to get a nice crease. And then I don't think I cut a white panel for the inside. I didn't, but that's okay. That's okay. Okay, this one we're going to orient this way. And we still want that piece of basic white on the front, and I'll cut that inside panel later, because you know I love to finish off my cards with that inside panel. So I really should have had another piece that's 5 1/4 by 4, but that's going to go on the front, and we're going to use this gorgeous piece of Designer Series paper. It's so pretty. I love the pattern. And we're going to be layering it over like this. So I kind of want to get my space my placement here, because this is the image, and I hope it's not too much of a glare, but this is an image from that Nature's Prints stamp set that I absolutely love. I'm going to stamp it in Soft Succulent. I think that'll be really pretty. And I want it kind of over here down in the corner on this white. So I kind of need to figure out, where am I going to cut my paper? So let's see here. I'm going to kind of work on this stamp being mounted on the block a little bit differently so it's straighter. So I want to come in. This is almost exactly where I want it, y'all. Look at us. We're doing great. So that's where I'm going to want to stamp. So let me adjust this a bit and see. I think that's good. I'm just going to take a Post-it note and put it across the die to kind of hold it in place, because we're going to bring in our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine here in just a second. And let's go ahead and do our stamping right quick. So like I said, we're just going to ink up this beautiful image. And I want to make sure that it's inked up well, moving around the stamp pad. And something we've been talking about lately in classes is our ink pads are super juicy, and you know the way that they're stored, it brings the ink to the top of the pad. Just stuck my finger in there. So you want to tap on your ink pad. You don't want to press too hard. If you do, you end up with ink on the other part of the rubber, and then when you stamp down, you get what's called a halo, where you get a little bit of over stamping that you don't really want. So I'm going to bring this a little closer to me so I can see better. Oops. I just want this on the edge. I think right about there. Now, the good thing is paper has two sides, so if I'm not crazy about what I did the first time, I can always stamp it again, right? Oh, it's pretty. Look at that gorgeous detail that's just built into the stamp. Thank you, Stampin' Up. It's so pretty. Okay, we'll move that out of the way. Put this over on my chamois so it can be kind of self-cleaning. And then we'll bring this piece over here. So again, I think we've got really good placement, and we're going to go ahead and cut our Designer Series paper. I may need to stand up to do this because we are actually using the regular size Stampin' Cut Emboss machine today. Now, I wanted to show you a couple features, how these sides do fold up. You've seen me use the mini machine some, but I love this regular size Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Now we're going to need to make our sandwich and put our platform in, and then this little shim. And then we need a couple of cutting pads. Now I wanted to show you this one. And this one I think I've even had long enough that it doesn't even have the Stampin' Up logo on it. But you can tell that you can't even really see through this cutting pad. It is an older one. It is used a lot. I love it when a cutting pad looks like that. It means that I've been using my die cut machine, right? Which is what we want to be doing as a crafter. So I'm just going to put my paper and my die on there, and I'm going to take a look. I think we're getting a pretty good capture there in camera. And then I've got another cutting pad, and this one does have the Stampin' Up logo, so it's a newer cutting pad. And you can see through it. It's only been used a couple times, so it doesn't have a lot of those cut marks. And I'm going to put that on top. And then I'm just going to run that through the die cut machine. And that is all it takes to get a beautiful border. And let me move this out of the way. I love that these sides fold up, so it takes less room for storage when you're not using it. You can also use some washi tape if you want to, rather than a Post-it note. Whatever you want to use. Whatever works for you. You get some of this other stuff out of the way. And I can probably even use that other piece of designer series paper on a different project. Okay, if our planning went well, this should fit here. Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. It's looking good. So let's go ahead and adhere this piece of designer series paper to the white. Yeah, you really do kind of get two cards in one. That would have been a fun thing to point out and just make another card similar to this, but I can make some more later. You get the idea though, because you're cutting that designer series paper that way, so you get the two pieces. Kind of doing double the card making at once, aren't you? So I just want to get those borders on top and that side pretty even. And that looks so pretty. Again, super simple card. But this would make a nice sympathy card even. And we're always looking for those layouts, aren't we? That help us use our products, use our stamps, ink, and paper in a little bit different ways. I thought this was fun. Okay. So of course that looks nice, just like that. You could stamp a sentiment on the inside if you wanted to. But I went ahead and stamped a little hello there ahead of time. And I think I've got lots of different options of where I can place it, but I think I really like having it up toward the top. Now let me know what you think about this, and if you have the basic border dies in your crafting stash. I think 3 dimensionals is probably a bit much on that, so let's put one back. And I'm just going to place this little hello there, right above our stamped image. And then let's bring in those iridescent pastel gems. They're so lovely. Oops, I've got the little spatula end. I'll show you that while I have that apart. The Take Your Pick tool is awesome because you can use different pieces. It comes with different attachments. And I don't use the spatula end a lot. I use the paper piercer end the most, but just quick and easy to flip that around, and now I've got the part that I want. I bet Dale was using this one. We're going to pick up a couple of these that have more of a green tint to them. Greenish blue. And I think I'll put a couple right down here. And then maybe even go with another larger one up in the corner there. So look at how pretty that turned out. And it's so simple. I love this card. Okay, let's make one more. I've got parts already cut. And I had a little bit different idea for this one. And you're not going to believe the ink color that I'm using. It's Cajun Craze. That is not a color that I pull out very often, y'all. Move those out of the way. And oh, I did get a basic white layer for the inside. So Cajun Craze, I use this a lot in the fall, but not so much this time of year. But we're going to go with it because it's in the designer series paper. So that's an easy way to pull out and decide what colors to use. Let's go ahead and adhere our inside panel. I wanted to let you know too that Stampin' Up! Has something called online exclusives now. So those started the 1st of March. And if you go to my online store at stampwithct.stampinup.net and just put in, you can type in exclusives, and it will pop you over to the section of my online store that has those new products. So it's just something different that Stampin' Up's doing. Those products are not in any of our publications, any of our catalogs. So it just gives you a chance to see some things that are fresh and new. And I thought that was really fun that they're doing it that way. They're going to have a release like that in March, July, and November. So it's kind of interspersed between our catalog releases. Just a chance to get some new products if you want to. So let's use our Cajun Craze. Now this time, instead of the basic white, I wanted to use both sides of the Designer Series paper. This has almost like a wash effect to it, and this has a very weathered look to it. I liked both sides of the paper. So I'm going to get this positioned like I know I want it with my borders. And then we're going to do something fun. We're going to actually, let's bring in our piercing mat to do this so we're super successful. I took, because the photopolymer stamps are clear, and just did it again, y'all. Put my finger right in the ink pad. I'm a professional, right? So because those photopolymer stamps are clear and they are malleable, we can actually kind of put a little bit of a bend to them. So we're going to stamp the happy birthday that we used over on this card that was just straight. Looks gorgeous, right? We're going to use that on this curved area where we can really kind of accentuate the fact that we cut this Designer Series paper with our border die. I think we're good right about there. We're going to try and see how I do. You know, it's a little bit of a challenge with my gear up above me, but I'm pretty happy with that. Let me look again. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So, isn't that fun to be able to get a little bit more mileage out of that stamp because we just put a little curve to it when I put it on the block? And what I did was actually take the die and lay it down, and then I put the block over the die and I turned my stamp so that it lined up with that die. Super fun little technique there. And I realized I didn't get any scrap paper, so let's use this little Post-it note, because I also wanted to use this little stamp that kind of has some little splotches or grunge to it. And we're going to just go right along with the kind of weathered look of this paper. And we're just going to stamp a couple little splotches to give it a little bit more interest. Not usually super artsy like that, but you know, sometimes it pops in my head and I want to do that. So I just stamped off so it was not full strength Cajun Craze. And now we're ready to put this little card together. And again, I think we're going to be able to use our pastel, iridescent pastel gems to add a little bit of sparkle. And I think it's okay to add some sparkle, even though this has a little bit of kind of grunge to it, a little bit of a weathered effect. See if I can get that lined up like I want it. Another thing that would have been fun on this would have been to actually take that Designer Series paper and pop it up with dimensionals. That would have been cool. I did pretty good with my stamping, y'all. I'm pretty happy with that. So this one is really simple, right? But we're getting to see that beautiful Designer Series paper and show off a couple of the patterns in one card. And I like doing that. I love our pattern paper and the fact that those designs are created by artists at Stampin' Up. We are so fortunate, aren't we? I think our paper is just phenomenal. And knowing that you can just pull out the colors from the designer series paper to add your cardstock layers, to put your sentiments on, to coordinate with your ink, fabulous. It just makes crafting more fun, doesn't it? Now, these are not per se Cajun Craze, but I really love this color, and I think it's going to work just fine with what we're doing. Now I'm going to try to decide where I'll even want these. I think I'm just going to use a couple of the smaller ones scattered across the card up here. I even put 5 on here. Because you know what? We can do whatever we want, right? That one up there. We can use 5 gems. So there is our last little project. Pretty happy with how that one turned out. Of course, you could add some ribbon. I kind of wish maybe I had popped up that designer series paper, but that's okay. I like it this way too. And here's the one we created together with the cutting that piece of designer series paper. You saw how quick and easy that was. These are very fast cards to make. And then here is my original sample that was inspired by the card that we made in Bingo. So let me know what you think. Do you have a favorite? If so, just type it in the comments and let me know which one is your favorite. I hope that you'll give this a try if you have any border dies, and if you do, be sure to either send me a picture or drop that picture down in the comments. I love it when y'all do that. That just makes me so happy that I have inspired you, and then you in turn inspire me and inspire the other people that are in the chat of the comments. So thank you very much for doing that in advance. All right, let's move these over out of the way and talk about a couple other things. I did get a piece of Happy Mail from my amazing friend Mary. Now this card, we actually made something similar in a stamp class, but Mary kind of took it to the next level here by stamping some of the images on the designer series paper strips. I thought that was a really cool idea. So in December, we use up our scraps, and this was a card, a similar card we made using the designer series paper strips, and I just loved Mary's take on this. I thought this was really pretty, and thank you, Mary. We love getting Happy Mail, and your cards always make us smile. So thank you so much. It's beautiful. And your sentiment inside was also just so sweet. Now, we've got a giveaway this week, and I'm going to go with those iridescent pastel gems. They're fabulous, absolutely gorgeous, and you can see how sparkly. I love them. Anything iridescent, I'm on board with that. So that is our giveaway for today. If you would like to be entered for a chance to win, please hit either the heart or the wow reaction or the thumbs up. You can leave a comment. You can share the video. Same thing if you're over on YouTube. You're still in the running. And as a matter of fact, the winner from last week was a viewer who left a comment on YouTube, and that's my friend Jan Santos. So Jan, you're going to be receiving the prize from last week, which is the awesome adhesive back Milky Dots. And these are sold out, y'all. They're not available. So Jan, this is an awesome prize for you. I'm excited to give it to you when I see you this Saturday at stamp class. Okay, trying to think if there's anything else. We do have a stamp camp using the Fancy Flora Sweet collection, and it's going to be on the 25th. So the deadline for that should be the first part of next week. If you would like to be part of that, we would love to have you join us. It is an in-person class or camp. We'll be here for 4 or 5 hours creating 16 projects. It's $45, but you do get a nice goodie bag with product in it that's worth about $30. And we're just going to have fun creating and spending the day stamping together. If you can't come in person, it is also available through a tutorial, a PDF tutorial. So you would get all of the supplies and everything, and same goodie bag, everything that those that are in person get, but you're able to do that at home. Now you do need the stamp set that we're going to be using for that. So if you're interested in doing it through the PDF tutorial, then you just let me know and I can answer any questions you may have about other supplies that you need to add. Okay, I think that is it. The only other thing I wanted to share is that I was part of a training yesterday, or not really even a training, it was a meeting. It was a demonstrator meeting, and a couple of different people shared how important it is that we not only make the cards, but also send the cards. So I have not been great about that lately, and I have challenged myself to do better of getting cards in the mail to people. I know it makes a difference. I know how I feel when I receive a beautiful card like what Mary sent, and we really can make a difference with something that is so easy for us to do. So let's make it and send it and get it in the hands of someone else, whether you pop it on somebody's desk, put it, underneath their mat on their porch, or if you actually pop it in the mail, do something to get a card in someone else's hand. You just never know what people may be going through. They may be struggling with an illness themselves. They may be struggling with a broken relationship. They may be struggling with stress at work, with stress of an illness in a family member. So we just don't know, but we do know that we can make a difference and just lift their spirits with a card that we've created. So I challenge you, get those cards sent out that you're making and look in your stash and send some out this week. Okay, y'all, I appreciate you being with me today, and it's time for Oliver to get his TREAT. Bye, y'all.